Let me kind of go to a clip that's gone viral, folks, in the last couple days. It's Leslie Stahl's viral clip from 60 Minutes interview that people are reacting to. It's absolutely berserk. Even Scott Jennings had to say some stuff about this earlier. This is a 60-minute interview with freed Israeli-American hostage Keith Siegel, went viral after she asked the following question. Go ahead, Rob.
The terrorists became very mean and very cruel and violent.
More so.
Much more so. They were beating me and starving me.
Do you think they starved you or they just didn't have food?
No, I think they starved me, and they would often eat in front of me and not offer me food.
I want to everybody that's watching this, okay, if you were a journalist, would you ever in a million years ask that question? I would actually want to know who said yes. Okay, think about the question. Play it one more time, Rob. Play it one more time. Go a little bit back. Okay, right there.
Do you think they starved you or they just didn't have food?
So who is she talking? So, hey, you're a kid. They interviewed a kid. My parents never, I had never had food to eat. And the kid is an anorexic, whatever, 70-pound, 5'8" kid, okay? And the reporter asked, do you think they starved you or they just didn't have any food? It's a bit of a weird question to ask, right? It's a bit of a weird question to be asking on 60 Minutes. And another one of those reasons why they're losing credibility. Vinny, your thoughts when you see something like this?
I mean, when I heard this yesterday, I didn't believe it because I was like, no, this has to be either AI or something. But it's one of the most dumbest, tone-deaf questions to ask a torture victim who's been captive from Hamas for over, 480 days? And like, imagine being tortured, starved, and beaten down by terrorists, and you come back. And mind you, she's Jewish herself. How are you asking that question? And it's like either she's pretending to be clueless or she's making the bad guys look good. Either way, it's just another reminder. I want everybody to know that's why mainstream media is on its last leg and dying because of that type of stuff. She's 83 years old. And I know my mom's almost 80. She's doing good. But what type of question, how insensitive is that to ask someone that literally just survived probably one of the worst experiences that him or anybody else is going to deal with, and she asked him that question.
Do you think she's asking a political question, or maybe, let's be fair to her, do you think she's asking a question that she really was thinking about? Like, do you think she's asking the question that she really thought maybe the terrorists were starving and so they didn't even have any food to give to you? Because if you're a terrorist, do you think you have a hard time getting access to anything? You're terrorizing, so which means you do what? You're willing to do anything and everything at all costs to get food, money, shelter. Yeah. You're a terrorist. Yeah. You terrorize.
Yeah.
Right?
But did you hear? You heard her. Before this, he goes, no. Oh, I'm sorry. He goes, no. They're eating in front of me and teasing me and taunting me. Yeah. Which is, it's just, it's unbelievable.
Thoughts?
What I did the same thing you just did. I rewound it a couple times. I wanted to make sure I understood context because I had a real reaction at first. I was like, what are you thinking? That was what I was thinking. And I think this shows, in my opinion, I think this shows she has a predisposition. You can always tell when you interview somebody or you talk to somebody, you ask one or two questions and they give you one or two answers and you're like, okay, I can see which way this person leans. We've all said that in our minds when we've interviewed somebody for a job or you've spoken to somebody you just met. Oh, I see which way this person, I see which way the wind blows with this person. All those phrases that run through our heads. In this, the word that came to my head, I said, wow, I wonder if Leslie Stahl doesn't have a predisposition that favors the Palestinian situation and the Hamas and Gaza situation. And so she doesn't even realize it, but her questions are coming out showing doubt to the other side because she's got this predisposition. In the Old West, they used to say, you walk into a court and if the judge is already frowning, forget it. You're guilty. You know what I mean? Then that used to be the thing. It says when you walked in the court, what the judge, he was frowning. Okay, you're done. And it kind of feels like that. And I look at this. She's a career journalist. She's had a distinguished career, regardless of what you think of her individual politics that she's displayed. But it just felt to me, Pat, that she had a predisposition, and it's almost just off the top of her head and reflexively coming out. And it was disappointing because she's not making a commentary on a news show. She's speaking directly to a victim of torture, imprisonment, who is just praising his personal God that he's out alive.
Adam.
So, for some reason, I'm actually not that offended by her question. So, let's give it some context. So, she's interviewing a hostage who was released.
Yeah.
And the tone of the questioning is maybe what I would find an issue with, but she's asking that question to the wrong person. So, the question of whether Israel is having a blockade of food and goods into Gaza certainly could be had because they are. Now, why are they doing that? Why would you blockade a country from importing goods? Because oftentimes those goods are terrorist items, right? So it's like, the whole conversation that we're having here in America is building a wall. Why do we want to build a wall? To maybe stop illegal things from coming in the country? Whether it's people, whether it's trafficking, whether it's drugs, whether it's guns. We all know how powerful the cartel is in Mexico. People in Mexico were, I think in 1 week, like 20 politicians, were no longer running, if you know what I mean, because they were dead. So, last week, it was something very, very, very unique that happened in Gaza. Do you know what that was? There was a protest against a government in that region from the Palestinians. And who do you think they were protesting against?
Hamas.
They were protesting against Hamas. So you hear this conversation and this slogan, Free Palestine and Palestine. Go ahead, play it.
I wonder what happened to them after this, though.
Right. So you hear Palestine will be free from the river to the sea. What does that look like? What does that mean? Free Palestine. Often when people tell me free Palestine, I say yes, from Hamas, right? Free the people of Iran from the mullahs and the ayatollahs. Free Lebanon from Hezbollah. Free Yemen from the Houthis. Free Iraq from Al-Qaeda and ISIS, whatever it may be. It's these terrorist groups that are effectively terrorizing the people. And it's the armies, the democratic elected armies, whether it's Israel, whether it's the U.S., whether it's even the people of Lebanon, who are like, we just want to not have terrorism in our country. We had a meeting with, I won't say his name, someone pretty high up in the Middle East and Saudi, and they had a major problem. There's a sect of Islam in Saudi specifically called Wahhabism. And Wahhabism is a very strict, literal definition of Islam. To my Muslim friends out there, if I'm not getting the definition right, forgive me. But MBS, Crown Prince MBS, basically, when he took office, he's like, no more of this. I'm the king, the Crown Prince. I'm running this country. Because they understand the threat that Islamic extremism and jihadism brings to their own countries. Remember we played a clip of, I think it might have been from the UAE, and he was giving an interview about how the West is doomed because they're coddling illegal immigration. And he's like, I'm going to say it in English about what the West doesn't understand and Europe doesn't understand. And she goes, no, it's okay. We have subtitles. He goes, no, I'm going to say it in English so you don't get this right. He's like, if you don't stamp out Islamic extremism, they're going to get you and they're going to dominate you. And I'm Islamic.
Yeah.
I'm Muslim. So is Israel possibly blockading things? Yes. But to this lady's point, interview a politician with that line of questioning, not a literal hostage who probably had no clue what was going on anyway. Yeah. Right?
Well, her predisposition that Tom was talking about, she's the one that tried to fact check Trump. I know, where she stands. She's the one that was like, they didn't spy. Come on. And he was like, Leslie, what are you talking about?
This is 60 minutes.
Yeah, it's like, no, Leslie, you have your freaking stance and we know who the hell you are. So, I mean, tone deaf and just, it's unbelievable. She should.
PPD, why did you want to play this clip? Like, why were you so offended? I'm like, all right, she's a journalist. She's maybe a leftist. What was it to you that was like, nah, this is very inappropriate?
A person just came from, being held hostage, and you want to ask him a question like that? Like, hey, maybe they didn't have any food. Maybe they didn't have food to give you. Go back to the clip, and I'm just purely trying to pay attention to the words she used, okay? So if you go to the clip and start it from the beginning, Rob, so we can just see it. Yeah. Play it from the beginning.
The terrorists became very mean and very cruel.
The who?
Terrorists.
He didn't say the Palestinians. Go back again, Rob. So he says the terrorist. Okay.
The terrorists became very mean and very cruel.
Right. Okay, keep
And
playing.
violent.
Okay.
More so.
Much more so. They were beating me and starving me.
Do you think they starved you or they just didn't have food?
Look at his
I
answer
think
right
they
here.
starved me, and they would often eat
In front of me.
in front of me
Right.
and not
Can you do me a
offer.
favor, Rob? Okay, so let's play literal. Can you go look up the definition of terrorists or to terrorize? To terrorize, okay? Terrorize definition.
Someone who
okay?
kills innocent people.
Create and maintain a
civilians.
state of extreme fear and distress filled with terror, right? Okay, so what is a terrorist willing to use to get what they want? What limitations do they have?
Zero limit.
Zero.
They'll do
So
anything.
guess what? That means a terrorist is going to find their food, the women, anything they want. They're willing to do everything and anything at all costs to hold you hostage, anything. If that's the true definition of terrorists, what do you mean maybe they don't have food? They're going to get their food one way or another. Of
course.
They're going to get the girls one way or another because they're willing to terrorize. So if she was talking about Palestinians holding him hostage because they're upset at him for being Jewish or idea for whatever, okay, cool. Yeah, maybe Palestinians don't have food because of blockade and the food is not coming in. But this is a terrorist she's talking about. A terrorist is going to get what they want. This is, again, my opinion I'm giving to this here. So I thought it was a very weird question for her to ask.